Are you exasperated or what? Well, if you are, you're in the right place, because this podcast series with Tom Fox and Gregg Greenberg, author of Fcking Argentina, explore the current American psyche of being overworked, overleveraged, overtired, and overwhelmed. Find out about our exasperation with, well, exasperation. Today is our final episode, and I can't think of a better way to end this, because I found this story so exasperating I couldn't even read it. And Gregg's going to talk about that, but it actually speaks to a much bigger point, and he's going to explain that in this podcast. We have talked about exasperation in a wide variety of areas, from the family to walking your child to school to parent night at school, couples dinners, and it's just been a great way to think through things we have to deal with every day. So I'm your co-host, Tom Fox.
And I'm Gregg Greenberg, the author of Fcking Argentina, and it really has been great reviewing all these stories with you, Tom. And I'm sorry that this one exasperated you, but hey, look, maybe it's all part of the exasperation experience, if you will.
Well, it certainly is. So I couldn't even write up a script for this, so I can read the chapter title, chapter 11, A Little Timmy's Birthday Party. Birthday Battle. And for those who can see, Gregg just held it up. But what exasperated me so much, Gregg, was this was a story told through text messages and not adult spelled out text messages, even with autocorrect. But lots of abbreviations, lots of language that, frankly, I had no idea what they were talking about. So tell us about Little Timmy's birthday party and this conversation that goes around it, and why did it exasperate you so much?
So nowadays, when people speak to each other, certainly my kids, when they speak to their friends and sometimes to us, it's texting. I think that the art of conversation is perhaps on its way out. So people text to each other. They won't pick up the phone and call each other. I'm picking up the phone like this. I don't even know, it's not like that anymore. People text each other. So for the final story in Fcking Argentina and 10 More Tales of Exasperation, I wanted to show how people are talking, how they're communicating with each other. And it's through text nowadays, and how exasperating that can be. And especially when you're using lots of acronyms, excuse me. I'm in an acronym, but I'm talking about acronyms. So it starts out like this, and this is the way the story is written in text blurbs. And it starts out with HMU, which means, hit me up, which means, the guy wants to know what's going on with his wife, right? And they're having a conversation through these texts. And as the guy he's actually texting while he's driving, which you shouldn't do, Tom. And he's trying to find a parking spot, and he's trying to find out whether or not his wife has responded to his son's birthday party that he was invited to. And then a fight ensues via text. Do you fight via text, Tom?
No. I
do not. Old-fashioned way.
In the old-fashioned way. So now I understand the story. Okay. So I understood the looking for the parking places. I understood a little bit more. So what's the issue that they're fighting about, debating, or even disagreeing upon?
The husband wants the wife to respond to a birthday party for his son, but the wife doesn't want to deal with it, and it just devolves into a whole lot of texting back and forth as he's trying to find the parking spot, and they're having a marital spat via text, and with all the autocorrect ensues. So, he can't find a ducking parking spot. And and she says, duck you. You know what I mean? And so they're fighting via text with the autocorrect. And every now and then they're going to use an acronym, whether it's DGMW, don't get me wrong, or a TTYL, talk to you later, right? And it's the state of what's going on now, is when people communicate, they're doing it with their thumbs. Sad but true.
Sad but true. Well, I can't really think, Gregg, of a better way to end 11 Tales of Exasperation with a tale of very modern exasperation that communicates in a way that I was so exasperated, I couldn't understand it. So,
but it does end on a high note, Tom. Okay, so the very last, after they have their fight and he finds his parking spot, the man says, you know, LUV-U, which means love you. And she says LUV-U too, which is love you too. So the last words or blurb in the book are our happy ones. So even though it's a book full of exasperation, it ends on a loving note.
So it's a happy ending from Gregg Greenberg on 11 Tales of Exasperation. Gregg,
that.
I wanted to thank you for doing this podcast series with me. The book was great, and I can't wait to see what you come up with next.
Tom, it really has been a pleasure speaking with you about this book, which is available on Amazon and a lot of other places. And I know you write a whole lot of books, too. They're far less exasperating than mine. So this has been fun. Let's do it again.